Off the bar, I'm too persistent. Whipping comment, no cast. Get it on my own, no collab. But a bar with me, that's a body bag.
Yo people fam, so we're telling them to man line jazz back in the another reaction blood. Right now we've got the deadly war in Camden, Gxng versus 51st blood, requested by Zaki Mohammed fam, you know what I'm saying? Let's get into this one, man.
Two men have been stabbed to death in two separate attacks in Kentish Town in North London last night. The body of the first victim, believed to be in his late teens, was found a couple of hours before police discovered the second victim, who's thought to be in his 20s.
Camden, the heart of fashion and culture in London, with some of the most expensive house prices and biggest tourist attractions in England. And from the outside in, looks like the perfect place to live. Well, that's what the government want to show you. Once we go deeper into the lower income estates of the borough, we start to see a different story. A story of the country's most deprived estates in London being separated from roads of millionaires literally by one street, and how these estates have created a deadly gang war which has taken over the borough in recent years. But before I get into the video, be sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications. Let's get into the video. So Camden is a borough in northwest London and is very close to the centre of London, but despite the area being so close to the rich centre of the capital, in the last few years the war in the area has been going brazy. So historically, unlike neighbouring areas like Islington and Brent, Camden's beef situation hasn't been as active as others. But this all changed around 2016 when a man from Camden called Merce had his watch stolen from another man from another area in Camden. After this, there was some back and forth, which resulted in a big rivalry in the borough, literally between groups of kids that grew up together. One side being gangs.
One watch, you know, created all the display. How mad this world is, bruv. That's crazy. One watch, you know, fam, just created a mad ripple effect and chain reaction, fam.
Built up from a few estates in Camden, which were the Peckwater gang from the Peckwater estate, the QC gang, which were from a road in Camden called Queen's Crescent, and Cumbo, which is a gang made up from an estate called Regent's Park in Cumberland Market. They linked up together and called themselves 51st, due to their postcodes being in NW1 and NW5, which is where the 5 and the 1 come from. And from the other side of the feud, we have a gang called Active Gang, which some people may know from their songs, and they're from the Grove estate in Camden. An Active Gang are affiliated with another gang called CT1 and NRB, which they all linked up and called themselves 71st. And just like that, the war was now on between 51st and 71st over this watch being stolen. So Camden is actually home to a big Somalian community, with a big portion of them residing in Aga Grove, which is the territory of the 71st gang. Such a big community that the majority of 71st members are actually Somalian. And if you watch one of my previous videos on Mali Strip, Somalian people are people you don't want to be messing with, which you will understand more in this video. And this beef was on go from early. In 2017, two members of the AG gang, which represents 71st, executed a triple shooting on three 51st members. Two of the members ran to a nearby hospital, but while hospital staff was treating the two members, they also called police to the hospital to investigate the situation. Once the two realized the police was called, they didn't even care about their treatment anymore, and attempted to run out the hospital while still having bullet wounds lodged in them. But the police ended up detaining them and arresting them after a struggle between the both. The reason they wanted to run was because all three members are actually wanted for suspicion of grievous bodily harm, which all three were eventually arrested for. Now of course 51st weren't happy about this triple shooting, and they were trying to get it back in blood, so they went lurking on the Aga Grove estate and shot a rival in the face with a shotgun. The rival actually managed to survive and make his own way back to hospital.
What the fuck?
Happy about this triple shooting, and they were trying to get it back in blood, so they went.
That's what I'm saying, blood. You know when like Americans react to English issue, blood, and be like, yo don't got guns over there, yo don't got guns. It don't matter, fam, blood. It doesn't matter, fam. The demand, the supply and demand is gonna be there, blood, no matter what, fam. You know what I'm saying, fam? Whether it's legal or not illegal, fam, niggas is finding a way at the end of the day, fam. The fuck?
Went lurking on the.
This is ridiculous.
Aga Grove estate and shot a rival in the face with a shotgun. The rival actually managed to survive and make his own way back to hospital, but this beef really kicked off in a situation that wasn't even linked to both of the gangs. So on February 2017, a 16-year-old girl had an Airbnb party in Kensington, West London. You know those type of parties where a girl invites 7 different types of gangs and asks people to leave their beef at home? Yeah.
Oh my days, blood. That's for like family feuds, friendly feuds of arguments, blood. You know what I'm saying, blood? But you bring 7 different gangs together and expect this to be. That's what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm saying, blood. Women can be so. You know what? Let me not even go there, blood. But you man can just be idiots sometimes, basically, fam. You know what I'm saying, blood? Or they can talk it out, or leave it alone, blood, and that. Just because you, man, you know what I'm saying, don't be using your fist, don't be out there to try to go get your get back, doesn't mean that the man them are on the exact same thing, fam. You know what I'm saying, blood? Man them don't be think rationally sometimes, fam. You get me, blood?
One of those.
No.
So at this party, there were people from all over London there, but a few uninvited guests tried to pull up to the party. One of these people being a boy from 51st called Dotty and his friend, who pulled up to the party with a gun and knife looking for trouble. But the night turned left for Dotty and his friend, and ended up with Dotty being chased down by 20 young boys. And when the boys caught up to him, they stabbed him 13 times altogether.
He's just an idiot, though, blood. He's an idiot youth, fam. Who the hell? You know what, blood? This is what I'm saying, though. I just literally just said the women don't be thinking like a man as well, but the man them, y'all just be dumb, blood. You just two man up, blood, to a massive ass party, blood, with a blick and a fucking nank, fam, thinking that you're gonna go do biz.
Down by 20 young boys.
This situation could have been avoided, blood. This guy didn't have to die, fam, but because he's an idiot, you, blood.
But the night turned left for Dotty and his friend, and ended up with Dotty being chased down by 20 young boys. And when the boys caught up to him, they stabbed him 13 times altogether, which actually resulted in Dotty dying, which 4 16-year-old boys from Hackney and Tottenham were sentenced and convicted for. So 51st were mad about this situation, obviously, that their member Dotty was just stabbed to death.
Big man, how can you be mad about that? Your boy went in there blindly, fam. The hell, like when you're obviously it's not like real life, but when you, because I ain't about that life, never been about that life, blood. But there's certain gangster movies, blood, that when the man them do a dumb move, it's like, yo, it is what it is. Sometimes you do have to retaliate at the end of the day because you can't look like a pussy or blood. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, fam, what the hell are you doing, fam? Going to look for trouble, blood? Just you and one of your dons, blood, with a blick and a knife. Oh yeah, I'm going to a party and that, fam. You know what I'm saying? Man's gonna get a 50 kill streak and that. That's just not how it goes, is it?
So they were out trying to get revenge. So they went out for revenge in a stolen BMW and travelled all the way from Camden, northwest London, to Hackney in East London, and then to Tottenham in North London, because that's where the people who killed Dotty were from. But they ended up finding no one from both areas. But they weren't trying to go home without spilling some blood first. So 51st went all the way back to Camden to look for 71st members, and found an affiliate member of 71st called AK and killed him. But they weren't done there. They were riding for a whole nother 2 hours.
And this is the thing, blood. It's not even like they get the actual dons that were responsible. They just gotta get anyone as long as you're affiliated with them, fam. You know what I'm saying? If you're a cousin of a friend of a friend knows my man and you've chilled with them at one point, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Blood, you'll do, fam. You'll do. It's ridiculous, man.
Was looking for more 71st members and found a 71st member called Mitch's little brother. Mitch's little brother attempted to run into a cab and begged the driver to drive him to safety, but the driver refused to move, and he was dragged out of the cab and stabbed to death by 51st members, all within 2 hours of their first murder they committed that night. And 6 members were sentenced to life for these murders. Then on September 4th,
for life, blood. Fuck, you know, blood. This is what I'm saying, blood. I don't think there's a video out there where someone's like really interviewed a don, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, like when you go into like certain hostile states in like places like Asia or whatever, fam, you know what I mean? And they'll have the mask on and that, and then they'll blur out the voice, and then all of them to not blur out their voice, sorry, like distort their voice and that. Like someone needs to do that with these dons here, blood, so man can really know why these men are out here just risking their whole livelihood, blood. For what really, blood? For what really, fam? It's not like you're riding out for your family, blood. You're riding out for the man that want you peace, blood. You know what I'm saying? Because more times nowadays, hella man them are on road and making nothing, benefiting from nothing just for the sake of it, fam. It's ridiculous, blood. Like at least have an incentive, fam. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yo, why you on road? I'm not in it, blood. Man, just, you know what I'm saying? Man, just, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, bruv.
Of their first murder they committed that night, and 6 members were sentenced to life for these murders. Then on September 4th, 2017, a member from 51st called Flips and the older brother of the second boy who died that night called Mitch bumped into each other on Hampstead Road in Camden and started getting into a little altercation, which ended with Flips stabbing Mitch in his arm, neck and back, leaving the knife lodged into Mitch's bones and murdering him. An undercover policeman just happened to witness this whole situation and ran down Flips and arrested him, and now Flips is serving 17 years to life for this murder. After this, the beef in Camden went under some serious investigation by police, and members from all sides started to get taken down for conspiracies, firearms and drug charges, and the beef started to die down a bit. But then 2019 hit, and quite a lot of the members that were locked up started to come out, and taking in consideration that 51st members just before everyone started going to prison had killed 3 71st members. 71st members started coming out of prison on some demon time, and were most definitely looking for revenge with no warnings. The first signs that 71st was really back was on a cold Tuesday in February. 1 AM in the morning, a 51st 71st member called Gxng was walking past the Sainsbury's in Camden when a 4x4 crashed into him and several 71st members jumped out on him like a pack of wolves, stabbing him repeatedly in his head and body, leaving him literally paralysed and not being able to walk. But that wasn't enough for 71st members. They wanted someone dead for their friends. So on April 1st, 2019, a suspected member of 51st called C. Miz and his cousin were walking down Grafton Road in Gospel Oak, Camden, when 4 71st members jumped out a stolen black car and started chasing them. C. Miz and his cousin split up, but unfortunately the men who jumped out the car locked onto C. Miz, and C. Miz ended up dropping to the ground when the 71st member started to stab him repeatedly with machetes and then run from the scene. After
It's the mentality, man. I'll never get it. I'll never get it, blood. The mentality, I'll just never get it, fam. I'll never get it, blood. I'll never get it. People really out here just playing COD for what, fam? Really makes no sense to me, and it never will, blood. Never will.
when the 71st members started to stab him repeatedly with machetes and then run from the scene. After this murder, 71st members made a song called Congo, and the reason why they called it Congo is because C. Miz was actually a refugee from Congo after him and his family fled the war from over there. And members repeatedly in their songs say that they get their weed from Congo, not Cali, pretty much just trying to say that they're smoking on C. Miz. And as I said before, the majority of these 71st members are Somalian. So after all this, there was news going about in Camden that 51st members were out on the lurk, and any Somalian they see they're killing.
Heard some really strong intelligence that there is going to be revenge for Calvin's killing, and his friends have literally said they are going to go out and kill any Somali in retaliation. So I just want to make that really clear. This is from a young Somali woman in Camden who's 24 years old, and basically we strongly suspect they're going to go out tonight and kill a Somali.
But you see why you see what I have a problem. You see that right there, kill any Somali and all, blood. It's like there's no code or anything, fam. You know what I'm saying? At least once upon a time there was a code. It's like now people are just doing anything for anything. Anyone can jump on road, don't matter the background if they're built for it or not, blood. You know what I'm saying? If their life is wasted, it's what it is, blood. You know what I'm saying, blood? Like it just gets too out of hand, blood. It gets way too out of hand to the point where these men are saying they're just gonna kill any Somali, blood. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous, fam. It's ridiculous, blood. Or someone getting killed. Oh, yo, I saw him chilling with my U-boat. Here now, they killed someone, blood. They weren't even a part of anything, blood. It was just so-called just, you know what I'm saying, collateral damage on some shit, blood. Or just because he was chilling with my ops and that, fam. He's an op as well, type of, you know what I'm saying, fam?
Basically, we strongly suspect they're going to go out tonight and kill a Somali.
Which is probably a bit of a stretch. But on the other hand, 71st members kept saying that they're warring with Jalirs, which is basically the Somalian word for West African people. Because you have to remember, despite Somalians being dark-skinned and African, a lot of Somalians don't really see themselves the same as other black people. So this was kind of turning into a race war between Somalian and black people in Camden, which is just all wrong for so many reasons. But 71st weren't happy enough with the killing of C. Miz. They wanted to spill more blood. So August 12, 2019, 6 members started circling the estates of 51st members in a stolen Ford Fiesta and a stolen Seat when they spotted 16-year-old culprit and other members coming out of a restaurant around 10:30 p.m. Culprit and other members ran to a nearby set of blocks near Euston Road, but 71st members found them later on that night, and 3 members jumped out and chased them down, catching up to the 16-year-old 51st member called Culprit. Culprit was running for his life and literally screaming for help, banging on neighbours' doors to let him in so he could escape his attackers. But when
And why we on road, little G, fam? Why we on road, blood? Why we on road, though? That's what I'm saying, blood. Why we on road, blood? Why we on road? People literally, I don't get it, blood. I don't get why people be having this, like, desire, fam, you know what I'm saying, to jump on road. Then when everything goes left, now you're screaming on people's doors and that, fam. You know what I'm saying, knocking, you know what I'm saying? Because if it was a person that was built for depression, knew what they were getting themselves into and that, they're not running, fam. One time they're standing their ground, don't matter how many people there are, fam. Screaming and knocking on people's doors, fam. You obviously ain't built for it, so why are you on road? That's my whole thing, fam. Why? I don't get it, blood. I don't get it. When it comes to that pressure, blood, most people are folding. Not everyone's coming out a diamond, fam. So why go on, fam? Why do it?
But when the 71st members,
and then you try to chat to them and it's like, oh yeah, whatever, man. And they, you know what I'm saying? Then you get caught in a situation where you're getting chased down by 15 man and that, fam.
caught up to him, 2 71st members held him, while a third member repeatedly pushed a 1-foot-long zombie killing knife through his chest while it was coming out of his back. And when the 71st members were done, the killers were said to be running away after, laughing hysterically, which is what bystanders said. And culprit, he was just any any normal kids from London. He was talented at football and even had trials for Southampton Football Club, but started getting involved in the local gang and brushed aside his football, and unfortunately became a victim of the streets. Now, as these back and forths normally go, 51st were now looking for revenge on their recent L's, and there were many stabbings across the month. And early on in September, there was a case of 3 killings in 5 days in Camden. One of these being a man from a completely different area all the way in East London, but unfortunately he was walking at the wrong place at the wrong time. So he was actually walking on Queen's Crescent Estate, which is a hotspot for 51st members, and was shot and killed in a drive-by, being mistaken for a 51st member. Just an hour before, another woman was stabbed to death just a few hundred yards from the situation, and 4 days later a 71st member called Nuts was stabbed to death by a gang of 51st members with machetes outside one of the busiest areas in London, Camden Tube Station. And for the longest, a lot of people didn't even know all this stuff was going on, until a 71st member called Suspect started jumping on the drill scene, calling himself the Camden Grim Reaper, and releasing some of the most disrespectful tunes towards his ops. So much that police take down pretty much any song that the gang uploads, which really started to bring some attention to what's happening down there, and definitely got the attention of me, especially a song from Suspect called Dugout, which is probably one of the most disrespectful songs I've ever heard, and really makes you deep how tapped this whole beef is. In one of his lines he says,
"Same place we used to play runouts, is the same place his chest got dug out. Same place I was telling you play out, is the same place I'm telling you come out."
Which really makes you think, damn, these guys were close friends at one time, and now they're trying to kill each other.
So
all stemming from a little
man.
small altercation that happened a couple years back. But anyway guys, that's it for today's video, and peace out.
You know what I'm saying, blood? All of this over a watch, you know, blood. Over a watch, blood. The whole ripple effect over a watch, fam. This fam, hella tapped, man. Hella tapped, blood. Stay out of the roads, man. You know what I'm saying? In this day and age, there's so many ways you can make peace, fam. You don't have to have no degree. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go to school, bro. There's so many ways you can make peace in that, fam. You know what I'm saying? But, bro, I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. So, bro, my line jazz and I'm gone, fam. Stay safe, people, man. Stay safe. Mad thing.
Bar after bar after bar after bar after bar, I'm too persistent. Whipping comment, no cast. Get it on my own, no collab. But if a bar with me, that's a body bag. Your mans want smoke, then he leaves with a toe tag. Whole squad hit with a double mag Glock. Got left in the street and the body's getting chucked. Bullets with names and your shit's getting popped. Better be with me and the bag's getting cocked. Still gotta chase the bag, humble. Ain't gotta brag in the league on my own, and my stats getting flagged. Hit me for the feet, got verses in stats. Come through like the queen, gotta pay that tax. Premium sir.